information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary. And obviously, Trevor Engelson is a very successful TV producer. He now has his own family. He's very happy.
He's moved on. He has put Meghan behind him. He probably is not interested in people bringing up his past relationship. He has 3 children now.
Meghan telling the world about their baby girl, Lilibet Diana, named for 2 influential.
About getting away from the UK press, because the press is, is everywhere, or was a move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
It was both. I need to do this for my family.
She was a struggling actress. He believed in her before the world did, but as she rose, she left him behind. This isn't just a breakup. It's the untold story of how Meghan Markle stepped into the palace and who she erased to get there. Long before she walked through palace gates, posed on red carpets, or signed multi-million-dollar Netflix deals, Meghan Markle was just another hopeful in Hollywood's endless line of dreamers. Back then, there were no royal titles or global fame, just Meghan, a determined actress navigating the brutal world of casting calls. She faced rejection with a practiced smile, chasing every opportunity in an industry where recognition is rare and competition is fierce. Amid the noise, she stood out not yet for her name, but for the quiet charm and ambition that kept her going, no doubt. Meghan had ambition and, by many accounts, she also had a strategy. At the center of that early journey stood Trevor Engelson. He was no tabloid punchline or paparazzi magnet. Trevor was a legitimate Hollywood producer, respected in industry circles and well-connected behind the scenes. When their paths crossed in the early 2000s, the chemistry was undeniable. Meghan was still carving out her place in the entertainment world, while Trevor had already built his pretend. He believed in her potential, and together, they formed more than just a romantic bond. They became partners chasing the Hollywood dream. For 6 years, their relationship was built on love, commitment, and late-night calls that bridged continents. In 2011, they exchanged vows on the surface. It seemed like the perfect love story. 2 creatives deeply in sync, supporting each other's ambitions while building a future together. To outsiders, it had all the sparkle of a romantic film. But, behind the scenes, a more delicate reality was unfolding. Friends close to Trevor say his devotion ran deep. While Meghan filmed Suits in Toronto, Trevor often hopped on flights just to be near her, doing everything he could to keep the connection strong across the distance. For 6 years, their bond thrived on love, loyalty, and those long-distance calls that stitched their worlds together across time zones. In 2011, they tied the knot, stepping into what looked, from the outside, like a modern-day fairy tale to artistic souls chasing dreams and cheering each other on. It had all the ingredients of a picture-perfect romance. But quietly, beneath that glossy surface, cracks had begun to form. Those close to Trevor recall how deeply invested he was. While Meghan was busy filming Suits in Toronto, he would catch flights just to spend a few moments by her side. Doing his best to bridge the growing gap with effort and presence, it arrived, without a note, just her wedding ring. Sealed and sent, like a full stop at the end of a chapter. No conversation, no explanation, a silent farewell from a woman already stepping into her next act, one that no longer included Trevor. The breakup was quiet, but its message was thunderous. And now, after years of enduring in silence, Trevor Engelson is ready to speak, not to spark drama, but to finally share his truth. And make no mistake, his story is anything but ordinary. It is layered, emotional, and, at times, deeply unsettling. This is not your typical breakup tale. It is laced with fame, royalty, heartache, and revelations that turn the narrative on its head. Rewind to the moment Trevor opened that package ring inside. No explanation. He was left blindsided. And while heartbreak hurts, what hit even harder was the confusion, the disbelief. During their marriage, Meghan had shared something incredibly intimate, that she could not have children. Trevor, in love and committed, took that to heart. He recalibrated his dreams of fatherhood, believing they were on the same page about what the future would hold. So imagine his shock when, not long after their split, Meghan appeared on global magazine covers, cradling baby bumps and celebrating motherhood alongside Prince Harry. The issue for Trevor was not jealousy, it was disorientation. Had he built his future on a version of the truth that was never real? Those close to him say that realization was the true wound. It was not about biology. It was about trust. To his credit, Trevor never launched a public crusade. He did not release a title instead. He quietly shared his thoughts with friends, painting a portrait of Meghan that did not quite match her polished public image. According to those who knew them both, Trevor was not bitter that she had moved on. He was hurt that the foundation of their life together seemed to have been an illusion. The honesty he thought they had shared now felt like a script she had long abandoned. Meghan's supporters argue that circumstances can change, and they can. Medical conditions evolve. But Trevor's pain came from the feeling that she never looked back. She left, and in record time, reinvented herself. While Trevor was still processing their divorce, Meghan was already navigating elite circles networks that would eventually lead her to British royalty. It felt, to some, like she shed her old identity overnight and never glanced over her shoulder. Trevor, by contrast, stayed low-key. No books, no interviews. The closest he came to addressing his past was floating the idea of a comedy series, inspired by his life about a man whose ex-wife marries into royalty. The show never materialized, but the concept alone raised eyebrows. There was clearly more to the story than he ever let on. Those who know him say when Meghan's name started appearing next to Prince Harry's in headlines, Trevor did not react with shock. To him, it was familiar. He had seen Meghan move through the ranks before: TV roles, then suits, then celebrity circles. He used to joke, "Meghan doesn't climb ladders, she leaps over rungs." And now she had leaped straight to Buckingham Palace. It was not envy, they said with recognition. Trevor had seen this pattern. Meghan could become exactly what someone wanted until she no longer needed to. Some saw it as adaptability, others as strategy. Either way, the version of Meghan that Trevor had loved, the vulnerable woman who cried over auditions and second-guessed herself, was replaced by a carefully crafted public figure. Not because she changed, everyone evolves, but because she seemed to erase the life that came before. And then there was that conversation, the one where she said children were not possible. It was not a passing comment. It was a defining moment in their marriage. Trevor accepted it, loved her through it, and reshaped his future around that belief. So when the world watched Meghan become a mother not once but twice, the heartbreak resurfaced, it because she had kids, but because it meant the story they had shared might not have been truthful at all. Meghan's defenders were quick to respond. Maybe she did believe that at the time. Maybe her circumstances really did change. And that might be true. But even if it is, the damage was already done. Because when someone you trust looks you in the eye and tells you something so defining and you build your life around it only to later learn it may not have been the full truth, it rattles more than just your heart. It shakes your understanding of what was real. And Trevor was not the only one left questioning. As Meghan's rise continued, whispers began to echo across Hollywood. Producers, assistants, and former colleagues began reflecting. They remembered how quickly she pivoted after her marriage ended. How efficiently she transitioned from struggling actress to global icon. The Meghan they knew had always been forward-focused, always calculating her next move. One producer put it bluntly, she was always 5 steps ahead. Not in an inspirational way but in a methodical, surgical way. And now, circling back to Trevor, the man who knew Meghan long before the royal headlines, suddenly his quiet pain seems far more relevant. His story is not just about a breakup. It is about the foundation of Meghan's past, a chapter she abandoned without ever looking back. Who was Trevor before all of this? Raised in Great Neck, New York, just outside the city, he didn't come from privilege. But he was sharp, determined, and focused. After studying journalism at USC, he shifted into film and television production. He wasn't the flashy Hollywood mogul type, he worked quietly, behind the scenes, building credibility through consistency, not chaos, and perhaps that is what hurt the most. He gave his heart to a woman who later became a global phenomenon, and, to him, it now feels like he was written out of the script without warning. In the end, none of this paints Meghan as a villain, but it does raise valid, difficult questions about transparency, truth, and the cost of controlling a public image so tightly that even the people closest to you begin to wonder what was real. He had a knack for spotting rising stars, an instinct for marketable stories, and the hustle to back it up. Trevor wasn't born into the industry, he carved his way through it. Starting out as a production assistant, he put in the long hours, earned his stripes, and slowly climbed from behind the scenes grunt work to founding his own management and production firm. By the early 2000s, his reputation was solid among insiders. You wouldn't find his name splashed across tabloids, but within the corridors of casting calls and pitch meetings. Trevor was the guy people called when they wanted results discreet and sharp. It was during this upward swing of his career that he crossed paths with Meghan Markle. At the time, she was another hopeful face in Hollywood, hustling from one audition to the next, clinging to small roles, and dreaming of lines that did more than fill space in a scene. Their worlds were different, but something about their momentum aligned. She was chasing her break. He was building an empire, and in the middle of all that ambition, they found each other. They were introduced through familiar Hollywood circles, the kind of casual, behind-the-scenes connection that quietly launches something more. Trevor was already making waves as a producer, and Meghan, still early in her acting journey, stood out with undeniable energy, ambition, and presence. When they met in 2004, there was an instant spark. Their bond was consistent and affectionate, and for years it seemed like a grounded, ordinary love story in a town where those are rare. For 7 years, they navigated the highs and lows as a solid unit. Trevor supported Meghan, not just emotionally, but financially and professionally. When Suits brought her to Toronto, he flew up frequently, sent thoughtful care packages, and even adjusted his work life to stay connected. By all accounts, Trevor gave everything. But according to those who witnessed their relationship up close, Meghan's heart was not fully in it. They married in 2011, choosing a relaxed beach ceremony in Jamaica, joyful, filled with close friends. But whispers began even then. Some guests noticed Meghan seemed mentally elsewhere, already halfway out of the moment, while Trevor was fully immersed, clearly devoted. Their marriage quietly dissolved just 2 years later. No scandal, no dramatic headlines, just a ring sent back through the mail, no explanation, no phone call, just silence. For Trevor, it was not just a goodbye. It was like a door slammed shut without warning. Despite the heartbreak, he stayed silent for years. No interviews, no tell-alls. While Meghan stepped from actress to duchess and into global fame, Trevor kept building his career calmly, quietly, still respected in his field. Friends say the pain lingered, mostly unanswered. But now, the silence has begun to break. Trevor has started confiding in trusted voices. Not to attack, but to speak his truth. He has described feeling emotionally misled, especially over the conversation they once had about children. Meghan had shared that having kids was not an option, and Trevor accepted that. He reshaped their future around it. So when he later saw Meghan embracing motherhood publicly, it felt less like surprise and more like betrayal. This was never about jealousy or her moving on, it was about how she did it. Like flipping a switch, Meghan seemed to morph into someone completely new. And Trevor was left holding the memory of a woman who once cried over missed auditions and doubted herself. Someone real, now remarried to Tracy Curlin's, a daughter of a wealthy financier. Trevor lives far from the spotlight, far from royal intrigue. Friends say he is content, grounded, but as he finally opens up, even quietly, his version of the story is gaining traction. Trevor does not sound bitter. He sounds reflective. His account does not read like gossip, it reads like a man making peace with a love that ended too abruptly to ever fully understand. And that's why people are paying attention. Trevor never tried to profit off pain. He held on to his dignity, even when he could have chased attention. In a world obsessed with image, he held on to credibility, and that alone speaks volumes. So what do you think? Was Trevor just sharing his side with grace, or is there more to this layered story? Let us know in the comments. And while you're here, hit like, subscribe, and explore our channel for more stories that go beyond the headlines.